second. Delighted to say Paul joins us on the line now. Thanks for joining us on Sports, Paul. You were in this very studio just 2 weeks ago telling us how much you were enjoying the job at Alloa.
Yeah, I know. It changes sometimes, Kenny, and it's something I've been thinking about. And I was going to leave at the end of the season. I just thought maybe this is the right time and hand over the reins to somebody else and, you know, have a look at the squad and who they want to keep and who they want to offer contracts to. I just felt it was the right time to go.
Nothing at all, Paul, to do with the result on Saturday?
No, look, Kenny, I've had bad results as a manager. There's nothing to do with that result whatsoever. I just felt, look, maybe this is the right time. I've just been feeling it the last couple of weeks. Maybe it's time to go. Let somebody else take the challenge. We've had great success over the last 2.5 years and time to move on.
As you say, Paul, fantastic success there in your short time as a manager. But did you get frustrated working within such a small budget in that league? Or were you not actually tempted? When you were in the studio that night, you were still in touch for a playoff spot.
Yeah, but they still haven't touched a playoff spot. They're only 2 points off the playoffs. They're in the last 16 of the Scottish Cup. Well, I just felt it was at the right time. I think you get that gut feeling, and you know, and it came to me. And I move on. I wish them all the best. I've left the club in a good footballing situation. I've had a great respect for the chairman. You know, we had a glass of wine Saturday night after the game. We sat in the boardroom, myself and the rest of the directors, and spoke about the good times that we had. We didn't. It's not as if we've left in bad terms. We haven't. I've left in good terms. I've left the team from taking over 2.5 years ago for the third division with no players to the championship, Kenny.
Well, when you were in the studio that night, Paul, lots of listeners got in touch with the programme to say how impressive you sounded that night, how well you must have come across to any chairman listening in. Have any clubs or chairman been in touch?
No, none whatsoever. I'm just at the football just now, my wee boy down at Hamilton Accies, just watching him. Football's my life, it's in my blood, and I'll just see what happens. I think it's ready for a fresh challenge, a different challenge in terms of probably working with players day in, day out. You know, I've been working the last 2.5 years with a group of players, and you get to work on 2.5, 3 hours a week, and it's just not enough, and I just felt this is the right time to leave.
Paul, it's Tom English here. How are you doing?
Hi, Tom. I'm good, thank you.
Listen, what my take on this, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but do you feel as if you'd stop getting through to the players, and you thought you should maybe get out before your own managerial reputation was compromised? Has that got anything to do with it?
I don't think so, Tom. No, I had a great bunch of players there. I didn't lose the dressing room. The amount of texts and phone calls I've had off the boys and saying that they're devastated, but sometimes it just needs a fresh face in there. In terms of, you know, I've been working on them for the last 2.5 years, and I just felt for myself it was the right time to move on. I didn't want to, be there at the end of the season, and then I knew I was going to be leaving anyway, and be offering players contracts and knowing that I'm not going to be there. I don't think it's right.
Paul, it's Keith Jackson here. How are you?
Hi, Keith. I'm good, thank you.
Good. Tell me this: did the interest from Inverness Cali, do you think that might have turned your head, made you look at things from a different perspective? Has that maybe played a part in it, the fact that it got you thinking about life after Alloa?
Possibly, Keith. Possibly. I think when you're doing so well and you have to challenge yourself all the time, you know, working for the last 2.5 years, I've always been used to full-time football, and I treated the job like full-time. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. I put the amount of hours I put in, and you can ask my chairman that, but I think there comes a time where you definitely want to be working full-time in terms with the players every day, and you want to challenge yourself, and you want to try and get to the next level. But I had a fantastic time there. What I think I brought to the club is good success in the 2.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Tom, because the level that Paul's played at. Now, I know there are some guys like Darren Young who have played at a top level coming down now, but you'd imagine, Paul's probably not going to say it, but you'd imagine there'd be frustrations working with players that are not as talented as you were as a player, not being able to do the same, not having the same skills.
Well, I don't know. I think good managers can adapt. I mean, you know, you've seen it throughout the world. Good managers can adapt. I don't think that would have been a frustration. I think the big frustration, is the way Paul is sounding, is that he was a full professional and he was dealing with players who just weren't in a position to be fully professional. And And Keith asked a good question there about Inverness and whether that kind of that vision of a fully professional outfit kind of changed Paul's focus a little bit. And yeah, I can absolutely see that, how he's decided to make his career in full-time management, and he's kind of betwixt and between. He's full-time but kind of dealing with part-time. But it is a gamble, Paul, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of good managers unemployed, and you're kind of giving up a job in the hope of getting back in.
A job.
Yeah.
I do understand that. Look, I might not get back into football, but I was 100% behind my decision, and if I don't get back in, then that's the call that I made.
Paul, you've got this management completely the wrong way around. You do realise that managers are supposed to be sacked. That's the one certainty. You've got in and out there without suffering that.
I know that, Keith, and you're right. There's a lot of managers out there. There are a lot of managers who would have been in the position I'd been in, but I just felt it was the right time. I want to try and challenge myself all the time, and I felt 2.5 years there. I think we can look on it as good success.
Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Kenny McIntyre started the rumour in here on Saturday that it was because you were going to Hearts.
I knew he would start that. He's always good for a rumour.
Scandalous. Actually, it was quite interesting on Saturday, Paul, because Brian McLaughlin came on and gave us a story midway through the programme. He's spoken to Michael O'Reilly, your chairman, but prior to that, we were trying to stand the story up because lots of people had got in touch through text and through Twitter to say, I've heard Paul Hartley's resigned, I'm a Hearts fan, do you think there's any chance of him coming to work at the club? Is it something you would consider doing, going in and giving your experience helping out to a club that I know is very special to you?
No, because they've got a manager and an assistant manager in there just now doing a job under difficult circumstances. I think it'd be totally disrespectful of myself talking about Gary Locke and Hearts. The rumours would be flying about on Saturday. I understand that, but I left Alloa for a reason. I felt that it was the right time.
When you were in the studio, Paul, you told us how much you had learned from the interview experience when you were very much in the running for the Inverness job. Do you feel you're ready now to manage in the Scottish Premiership?
I think so. I definitely think I'm ready, but you have to be given that chance. I think I've learned a lot over the last 2.5 years. I'm definitely a better manager, that's for sure. I'm out of job. I'll be still going to watch football games, that's for sure. And if you're looking for them to do some commentary, I'm your man.
Listen, I was going to get the producer to ask you for Sportsland Extra on Saturday, 5:30, Paul.
Well, I was actually in the boardroom on Saturday night when Brian phoned our chairman, so and he spoke to him. So I had a great chairman there, Kenny. That's for sure.
Yeah, you've always said that. Yeah,
they gave me the, and I can always be thankful for that and grateful.
But Paul, it's not a case that you get some managers who burn out and are just fed up of the game. You're not like fed up of the game, are you?
No, Tom, I absolutely love the game. Yeah. I'm sitting here just now watching my little boy playing. I love football. It's my life. I'm going to watch St Johnstone, Partick Thistle tomorrow night. I'm going to probably go and watch Aberdeen, Motherwell Saturday. So it's my life. It's in my blood. I totally love football. I just felt that I need a fresh challenge. I just felt that I've taken the club as far as I can take it.
And does it have to be a full-time position, as in a fully professional outfit?
Well, I think that would be the next step up for me, Tom. I've worked for 2.5 years at a part-time level, but I've really worked full-time. Yeah. But in terms of working with players, I only work with the players 2.5 hours, 3 hours a week, and it is difficult at times when you're coming into a championship where most of the clubs are full-time to get to work with their players.
But the other side of the coin is, Paul, a lot of guys are thrown into the deep end. We mentioned Gary Locke earlier and the difficulties he's having to deal with. In another way, a lot of people would say what you've done is the right way, the grounded way. Go and do 2.5 years, cutting your teeth, learning the ropes as a manager. Do you feel you've benefited from that and not been perhaps thrown into a more high-profile situation?
No, I'm glad where I started there, Keith, in terms of working at Alloa, third division, no players, little budget, trying to deal with everything that goes on with part-time football. And I'm glad I started where I did. And then hopefully the next job that comes up, if there one comes up, then hopefully I'll be well equipped for it in terms of if it's full time.
Finally then, Paul, a message tonight for the Alloa fans?
I'd just like to thank them. I'm sure we put them on the map in terms of having great success. We they get relegated to the third division when I took over. We took them through divisions. We're sitting. They're sitting in a nice position in the Championship. They're 2 points off the playoff. Last 16 of the Scottish Cup, a chance to progress to the quarter-finals. I'm thankful for the support that they gave me, and hopefully, the stuff that I did for the club.
Well, thanks very much indeed for joining us in Sports Round, Paul. All the best for the future. That's Paul Hartley. There's no doubt this guy's going to be back in a job very soon, isn't he?
There's no guarantees, Kenny. I mean, there's a lot of managers out there. He's certainly got a lot of respect for what he's done at Alloa. But listen, this is a precarious business that they're in, football management, and there are absolutely no guarantees. You look at Craig Levine. Doesn't have a job now. Obviously, I would say Craig Levine is quite selective in the kind of jobs that he would go for. But it's a tough old world, and I don't think there are any guarantees that Paul Hartley will get back in quickly.
I actually think Tommy will get back in quite quickly. I think that his star is on the rise. I think a lot of people are paying a lot of attention to what Paul Hartley's been doing. I'd be surprised to see him out of the game. I'm not saying that he's got any wind of anything, far be it from that to be suggested. But I'd be surprised if Paul Hartley wasn't in a decent job soon. He's also got the advantage, of course, that he's played for half the teams in the Premier League, so he's got history there.
That's true.
If any of these jobs come up, he's probably been an ex-player at half of them.
I just think, apart from the job he's done on the pitch, we talked about there, the successive promotions, and that's the point I put across to him there, Tom, when he was on a couple of weeks ago. It's the way he speaks about the game. I think he's very impressive.
He presents very, very well, and he's not. He's the one. One of the good things about going in at Alloa, going in at that level, it's not just about football management. He has learned about the business of football. He has learned about struggling. He's learned all aspects of the job, as it's becoming more and more vital to do in Scotland now. It's not just about on the park. It's to learn about how a club is run and to understand the chairman. Because a chairman, when he says we don't have any money, a manager might say, well, that's not good enough. If you understand where the chairman is coming from, it's a help. And it does help foster good relationships with staff. I think he's a modern manager, Paul Hartley. I think he will get back in, Keith. And I hope he does. But I don't think there are any guarantees. But I hope you're right. I hope he does come back in quickly.
I just imagine, Tom, if no matter what job that comes up next in the top flight of Scottish football, I would imagine that Paul Hartley's name would be in just about every single list.
Absolutely, it would.
Right, we mentioned Hearts there in our discussion with Paul Hartley. Tom, I'll get your thoughts on the U-turn involving Billy Brown, but let's first of all talk about Rudy Scatchell. My understanding is the sale of Adam King to Swansea is likely to go through this week, and when that happens, it does clear the way for Rudy Scatchell to be brought in. Hearts have spoken with Scatchell. He's training with the club. He's keen to sign. The big news is he will not be available for the League Cup semi-final. With the signings embargo in place, Hearts can apply via application to the SPFL board on a one-in, one-out basis to bring players in right now. But Scatchell is above the under-21 age, so the application can't be made until after the office closes at 11 p.m. on the 31st of this month. It doesn't open again until 9 a.m. on the 3rd of February. So no chance of Scatchell being available for the semi-final. That's against Inverness on Sunday the 2nd. So good news, hopeful news there for Hearts fans, but also he's a player they would really need, you'd expect, for that semi-final with his big game experience.
Yeah.